Here we go. Hello. Hello. Welcome to the stream. We are back once again. I didn't stream last week. I was actually on a little bit of a roll. Cuz I said I was going to try to stream at least once a week, and I did it for maybe like 2 months, and then I finally missed a day last week. But we're back. And we're chilling. Let me know if everyone can see and hear me. All right. And let me know if the background music is too loud, if it is even audible. Halloween is next week. Are you guys doing anything interesting for Halloween? I always want to do something for Halloween, but then the last few years I just end up not doing anything because I just don't feel like it, or I'm just like too tired. Wait, there's a start a Q&A option on here. Oh, it's me asking y'all a question, I guess. Wait, let me see what happens when I do this. Wait, this messed up my whole... Wait, what? What's up, my Strictly Corner? Damn, I actually catch a stream for once. Hello. Hi. I stream... Nowadays, I stream every Friday. So if you don't want to miss a stream, just remember Friday. Friday evenings, usually around 6 p.m. Central Time. You'll have to convert that to whatever your time zone is. I don't know. I don't know what this Q&A thing actually does, but we'll see. Hi there, also finally catching a stream. My question is just, how are you doing in any weekend plans? Well, thanks for checking out the stream. How am I doing? I'm doing good. I feel like this has been kind of a busy week for me. Not like in any special way, but I don't know. I just felt like I haven't had a lot of free time. But this is kind of what happens when I'm like finishing up a project. Speaking of which, I'll have a new video out very soon. Maybe even tomorrow if everything is finalized. But yeah, Weekend plans. My weekend plans are going to be the same as what they always are, which is fun. On It's football season, so on Saturdays I watch college football with my friends, and on Sundays I play D&D with my friends. So my weekends are usually filled with friends and fun. I'm in the UK and I work weird hours, so scheduling can be tricky. Yeah, I don't really know the exact conversion, but I've this is kind of the thing when you have viewers from different parts of the world, is you have to just try to make the best of what you can do. And I think for my audience, I think most of my audience is like American adults. So a good time for me to stream is evenings, because people are usually off work in the evenings. Some people aren't, but most people are. But yeah, a lot of times that's not super convenient for people who don't live in the United States. And it's also a good time for me because I don't have a traditional job, so I have more time flexibility, but I like to like get all my errands and chores or whatever I have to do early, and then settle down and stream a little bit later. Coleslaw. Um, Coleslaw can be very hit or miss. Coleslaw can be really good if it's made well, but it can also be very blah if it's not made well. Well, I'm not a sports fan. I live in Montgomery, Alabama, so I'm always hearing War Eagle for Auburn and Roll Tide for Alabama State. It's Alabama, not Alabama State. Um, yeah, I don't know if you know this, but I also live in Alabama. I don't know if you see this big A behind me, but that's what that is. Um, and this is Roll Tide. That's the team that I support. What would you do if, when he okay, so he said yes, would go? That made my head hurt. Do you like the Nick Saban era of Alabama? Do I like it? Yeah. Yeah. I think any Alabama fan is very happy about Nick Saban's run at Alabama, considering it's like probably the best coaching run of all time. How did I miss that? Yeah, at first I wasn't sure. It's like, oh, maybe they know, and that's why they're talking about it. But yeah, those there are some people, like, I don't talk about my personal life that much on my videos, but people who have come to streams know certain things about me, like the fact that I live in Alabama and that I'm a fan of the Alabama Crimson Tide. But it is true that, and it's not just Montgomery, it's everywhere in Alabama. Almost everybody, you almost have to pick a side. You have to pick Alabama or Auburn. And Alabama, at least as of late, Alabama wins a lot more than Auburn. So there are probably a lot more Alabama fans than Auburn fans. But there was a time where Auburn was better than Alabama. And every now and then, and honestly every year when Alabama plays Auburn, it's always a difficult game just because the rivalry is so strong and everybody wants to win so bad. I'll do my best to join chatting about sports, but I only watch the stage one, unfortunately. Shout out pro wrestling. Well, I'm also a pro wrestling fan, so I can talk about that a little bit too. Although I'm not super up to date on what's happening, but I kind of watch the highlights here and there. I'm probably gonna fall off from WWE because they, I'm not gonna buy ESPN Plus or whatever. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna buy it. So if I have to buy it to watch their pay per views, then I don't know if I'm gonna do it. But I'm a big WWE fan, and I'm guessing probably most people who are subscribed to this channel are not super huge sports fans. I think I probably have more of a nerdy intellectual audience, which doesn't always lend itself easily to sports. I know that there are a few, and I know that there are people who can be both nerdy and sports fans, and like myself is one of them. But yeah, so we don't have to talk about sports is basically the point. I went to Alabama for a semester but had to withdraw due to work, but I considered Auburn, both in Auburn, the city, and the part that's in Montgomery, back when I wanted to be a vet. Yeah, apparently Auburn has a decent veterinary program. I will say Auburn, well, I don't know. I was going to say Auburn's campus is really cool, but Alabama's campus is really cool too. When I actually went to Alabama, which is the reason that I am an Alabama fan. So no one can accuse me of being a bandwagon fan. I actually went there, and when I was there, Alabama was pretty bad. So I paid my dues. But anyway, when I was there, the campus of University of Alabama was just like undergoing a whole lot of construction. So it wasn't that aesthetic, but I think it's really cool now. They built a lot of stuff. They demolished the dorm that I lived in, which was kind of sad. But I guess they had to make way for new stuff. It probably like wasn't up to code and shit like that. The ESPN stuff sounds like a bollock, to be fair. An advantage of being UK wrestling fan is Netflix is covering all of it. Yeah, that is true. I need to double check because I believe if you have Hulu or if you have like Hulu, whatever the highest tier of Hulu is, you automatically get the ESPN thing with it. And I don't have that, but I do have Disney Plus. And I wonder if it comes with that since Disney owns ESPN. But I don't know. They like brand it differently, so I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't come with that because they obviously want you to spend more money. So, but yeah, if I can't find a solution, then I might have to fall off of WWE. Maybe I'll start watching AEW or something. AEW is fine, but I like WWE better. I don't know if that's a hot take, but what doesn't Disney own at this point? Feels like they own all media. They own a lot of things, absolutely, and it's definitely not good. How much of a stranglehold Disney has on media, but yeah, they do for sure. I mean, there's like four big media companies now. Honestly, Disney isn't even like calling Disney a media company is really only like covering one aspect of what they do. I'm pretty sure that I read that Disney makes more money from their theme parks and resorts and cruises and stuff than they do from their media. Yeah, Disney owns ABC, ESPN, Marvel, Fox. And then there's a bunch of random studios that I don't even know if they still exist, like Miramax and Touchstone. Um, they own the Muppets. Yeah, they own Hulu for sure. Wait, let's look it up. What all does Disney own? So yeah, they own Lucasfilm, they own Pixar, Searchlight Pictures, Buena Vista. Hulu, ESPN, Fubo, or they own 70% of Fubo, which is weird. They own FX. I forgot about that. Wait. Yeah, they own FX. Yeah, they just I don't know. It's wild. And they just have a whole bunch of different Disney brands too, like Disney Cruise Line, Disney Channel, Disney like Disney Kids and stuff like that. They own National Geographic. I forgot about that. They own Freeform. Some of this I didn't even know. Yeah, Touchstone, like I said. They own Deke, if you remember that. If you're a 90s kid, you remember Deke. There's a bunch of cartoons were made by Deke. Miramax. They're part owner of Oxygen. They own... Oh. Oh, they owned Power Rangers at some point. Oh, some of these are former. They no longer own Deke. I'm in the section that says former. They used to own Power Rangers. I didn't know that. They used to own Power Rangers and then they sold it back. Interesting. Need to become a lich so I can resurrect Teddy Roosevelt and have him break up these big monopolies. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Our country is just like fully controlled by the big companies now. There's like no attempt to like prevent them from these kinds of monopolies. When WCW ended, that's when I stopped with wrestling altogether, though kudos to WWF rebranding to WWE with the slogan, "Get the F out," good marketing. Yeah, that was a good slogan. I think pro wrestling has gone through a lot of different eras, and some of those eras were better than others. The era when WWE was competing with WCW, that was a very entertaining era, although a lot of it, in fact, most of it probably doesn't hold up. It was because it was like marketed to teenagers and adults at the time. So they really tried hard to be edgy. But later it became more PG, which I honestly think is better. I don't mind adult content, but the way that they were doing it was just out of control. But then there was like a period where WWE was like kind of just boring. But I think lately it's been kind of like the content has been better, but they're doing a lot of weird business stuff behind the scenes that is like kind of sucking the air out of everything. Random connection, but I actually started watching both wrestling and your channel in the same week. I don't know how I remember that. And I was 10 then. A lot of access, way too young. I'm 22 now. You've been watching me for 12 years? That's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, but I think there are very few people that can say that. It's always interesting, people who have seen all of the different eras of this channel and still decided to stay, because this channel has changed a lot over the years, and it's changed multiple times over the years. And there are people that are still here, which is cool. But I think probably most of the people that watch my channel probably discovered it fairly recently, like in the past few years. It's also crazy to realize that there were ever 10-year-olds watching me, because my content was never for kids at any point. But, you know, I think a lot of kids were probably on YouTube. I think Alien nailed it when they predicted corporations would control the world in the future, because we're definitely headed there. Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that corporations kind of already control the world, although I guess they don't fully control the world, because we are seeing certain individual people with a lot of influence that aren't necessarily corporations. But I think there was they did a study about America, and they basically concluded, and this is like obvious to anyone who pays attention, but they concluded that public opinion has a near zero effect on what policies are proposed and accepted in government. Near zero effect. Your voice? I guess that's a compliment about my voice. I appreciate that. I'm sure I've asked this before, but do you watch baseball? And if yes, are you rooting for the Dodgers or the Blue Jays in the World Series? I do not watch baseball. I don't know much about baseball. I don't know. I think it's just, I didn't grow up watching it. None of my family was super into baseball, so I never really got into it. And when I try to watch it as an adult, I find it quite boring. But I think anyone can say that about any sport that, they didn't grow up watching, or, don't have a specific affinity for. But it's hard for me to get into. But I think if I had some sort of connection to it, then I'd be more into it, because I like sports, and I just have a sort of deep admiration of athletes, so I can respect any sport, but it's hard to watch. I will say I like going to baseball games, like, in person. Like, I live in Birmingham, so we have the Birmingham Barons, which is like a minor league team, or whatever it's called in baseball. I guess it's called minor league. And I've gone to see them a couple times, and it's fun. I wouldn't say the game is super entertaining, but it's just fun to be out there and eating hot dogs with your friends and watching athletes. But yeah, I didn't even know that the World Series was upon us. That's how out of the loop I am with baseball. I discovered your channel around 2018, 2019. Can't remember which. That's still a pretty decent amount of time. I think 2019 is really when my channel started to really take off. Like, I was already I probably had like 80,000 subscribers or something at that time. And I was like sort of plateauing for a while. Um, but like a lot of people, um, the pandemic was a big boost. Like, I think content, obviously the pandemic was terrible, but it helped content creators a lot because everyone was at home just watching YouTube and TikTok all the time. And so I think a lot of content creators got a big boost during the pandemic era. So like 2019, 2020 was a big boost for my channel. And that's when I was doing politics stuff mostly. And I think people were really interested in politics, especially like people were interested in racial politics because that was also around the George Floyd time. And so I feel like I was one of the bigger channels that was mostly devoted to racial politics and social issues. And so I think I got a lot of exposure during that time because that people were just interested in that sort of thing. Out of cartoon dads, which one would you want to be your dad, and who do you definitely not want to be your dad? Out of cartoon dads, I have to think about what cartoons I'm even familiar with. It would just be the stuff that I grew up watching. Definitely don't want Homer Simpson or Peter Griffin to be my dad. I'll take Bob from Bob's Burgers. He's pretty cool. Um, I feel like the dads on cartoons are always kind of goofy. I've only seen like 3 episodes of Steven Universe, but isn't his dad really cool in that show? There might be more to it that I don't know about because I haven't seen that much of it. Whenever I'm just like when I think of the shows that I grew up watching, all of the dads are like really goofy. I'm thinking of like Dexter's Lab and like Rugrats, stuff like that. I guess Stu Pickles is chill. Do you like Hocus Pocus or its sequel? I I probably have seen Hocus Pocus once, and I think I remember being fine with it. I don't think I've seen the sequel, but I couldn't really even tell you the plot of Hocus Pocus. Was the study you mentioned the one from Princeton about how the U.S. is functionally an oligarchy? It might be. I can't remember the exact source. It was a while ago, but I'm sure there's probably more than one study that shows that because it's kind of, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. I stumbled across your Disney villain deaths video and I kind of stuck around the whole time. Oh yeah, that was one of my early bangers. I think that was one of my first videos to get like, like more than 10,000 views or something. Maybe even 100,000 at the time. Probably like 100,000 at the time, which is really big. I mean, it's still cool if I get 100,000 views, but when you have like 1,000 subscribers, getting 20,000 views is amazing. Do you play video games? And if so, any genre that's your favorite? And at the risk of spoilers, any game with a good twist or very memorable moment that still wows moves you today? I don't play a whole lot of video games. If I am playing a video game, it is probably a competitive game. My favorite genre is probably fighting games. I love fighting games. I'm just a very competitive person, and I like I like learning how to get good at competitive games. But every now and then I'll play something else. Like I got really into Overwatch. Like I was obsessed with Overwatch. And every now and then I still go back and play Overwatch here and there. Um Growing up I played a lot of video games. It's been a while since I've actually sat and played a one player game. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I've completed a one player game. Um for those that don't know, I am currently playing through Disco Elysium on my stream. Check that out on Thursdays. I played a little bit yesterday, so if you're interested in watching me play that, you can check out the stream on Thursdays. But so maybe I'll finish that. As for memorable moments, I mean, growing up, there's many. In fact, some of them are cliche. Like I still think about Metal Gear Solid and games like that. Like there's a part in Metal Gear Solid where the kernel in the game tells you to look for Meryl's codec number on the back of the CD case, and you're in the game like trying to look through your inventory and trying to find the CD case, and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a CD. But what you were actually supposed to do was to look on the back of the physical case of the game that you bought, and her codec number was on the back of that. And I think once that happened, I vividly remember doing that and being like, I was annoyed, but at the same time I was like, this is the greatest game I've ever played. What were the catalysts for the changes? The changes in the YouTube channel? I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. Some of it is just, playing the YouTube game. Like when I first started my channel, it was just kind of like a personal video blog of just anything that I was interested in talking about, which is cool, but it's not the best way to grow a channel because it's good for people to have an idea of what to expect when they come to your channel. And if your channel's like all over the place, it's hard for a lot of people to stick around. So some of that was just me tightening up what I wanted the channel to be about. When it comes to the politics thing, I've always been a very opinionated, political-minded person my whole life, and YouTube was just another opportunity to express that. And that was like the first thing that really started to grow my channel, was talking about like politics and social issues. And so I was like, I guess I'll go with that. I'm gonna do that because people seem to like it, and I have a lot of things to say. And so I did that for a good while. Every now and then I would slip in something else just for fun, like, a review of a movie, or just a, random video essay about something different. But it was always the politics and the social issues, and especially the racial politics videos that really did the best. And so that's what the channel was focused on for a while. But over time, and I've talked about this a lot, I even did a video about it, but over time I realized that doing politics online is not fun, and it causes you to engage with a lot of nonsense. And just over time, the political discourse on the internet got worse and worse, and to the point where I don't even believe that talking about politics on the internet is a good thing to do. And so I stopped doing that. And I noticed, I had noticed in the past that every now and then, because every now and then I would do a video about like a sitcom, like I did a Boy Meets World video, and actually did pretty well, which was surprising on a channel that's about politics. And so I was like, let me try more of that, because sitcoms is another one of my passions. And that's where we're at now. And I presume that the channel will continue to evolve. Like I want to make videos about stuff other than just sitcoms. But again, you don't want to veer too off course, which I have tried before and it didn't go well. What's the background beat? The background music is, by the way, is the background music too loud? Um, background beat is actually some music made by my brother. And it's always weird when people like want to know more about it because my brother doesn't really do music. I mean, he does, but he doesn't do it online. Um, but my brother has he has a an online presence. He has a Facebook page with where he just posts his opinions on things and stuff like that, but it's not about music. So are there any sitcoms that influence your understanding of other cultures in the way black sitcoms did for white audiences? Sure. I think. Well, I mean, there's definitely that. I mean, I obviously watched a lot of different types of sitcoms, and there's so like most of the sitcoms I think that I grew up watching were about white people for the most part. Um, it was interesting to see sitcoms about people who live in like New York and stuff like that because that was like way different than anything that I knew anything about. Um, watching Roseanne was interesting because it was about poor white people, which when you're hanging around poor black people all the time, it's a little bit different, but you also notice like the similarities. But there's other shows like Fresh Off the Boat is a insight into Asian culture. I don't know. I that show got a good reception, so I assume that it is somewhat authentic. um, I have Latino in my family, so I have some exposure to that culture. But there are shows like George Lopez that is about Latino culture. It was interesting watching Miss Marvel, the Marvel TV show, because they like really celebrated like Muslim culture and like I don't know if they were, I forgot if they were Indian or if they're from somewhere else. But anyway, it's very very cultural, and it was really cool to see it because a lot of that stuff I didn't really know much about, so that was really cool. What's a show you always wanted to come back? How Scrubs did, like how Scrubs is, how Boy Meets World did. Um, I don't know. I'm the type of person that's like, if the show tells the story that it wants to tell, just we can just leave it there. They don't need to come back. Like if they do a reboot or something and it's good, that's fine. But I don't know if it's necessary. I don't really never really want that. Sometimes I feel like it might be cool to check in on people, but I don't need like a whole nother series. Like at the end of Schitt's Creek, I'm like, man, I hope Alexis is okay. I just want to check on her. I don't need a whole show. Just give me like 5 minutes to let me know she's okay. Like when I got done watching Daria, and I said this in my video, I was like, I want to check in on these people and see if they're okay. Like, are they thriving in college? But I don't think we need like a whole series or anything like that. But like I said, reboots can be good. Fuller House was pretty good. Um, I don't watch all of it, but for what I've seen, it's pretty good. The Connors is pretty good. Even Girl Meets World, I think, was fine. I didn't like it as much as Boy Meets World, but Hello, Agrias. Do you see those AI wrestling videos of MLK, JFK, Tupac, Biggie? I understand why some of it can come across as disrespectful, but I'm not gonna lie, I did find them pretty funny. I haven't seen a lot of that. Yeah, and a lot of them are funny. Honestly, I don't necessarily mind that. But the problem, the issue is just the slippery slope that comes from making these very realistic videos of people. It just seems like it could lead to some bad things. But if that was the extent of what this was used for, that would be fine. It is funny. Tekken, and if you play, who's your main? I have not played Tekken 8. I played a ton of Tekken 7 though. I made Miguel in that game. Maybe if they add Miguel to Tekken 8, I'll play it. But I'll probably play it eventually, but I haven't played it yet. But I loved Tekken 7. Have you heard Shock My Dog I Can't Stop by Gucci Marks? I'm not usually a fan of AI music, but a friend showed it me and have stuck in my head ever since. I have not heard that. But yeah, I mean, AI, it can make passable music. I don't know if I've ever heard an AI song that was like, yo, this is one of the best songs I've ever heard. But there's a channel that makes AI songs about chess openings, and it's actually like some of those songs are actually pretty good. And it's enjoyable if you're a chess fan because it's like, oh, I understand this reference. Can only hear the hi-hats. Yes, it's low, I guess. I don't want it to be too distracting, but I think having a little bit of a beat in the background is just adds to the vibe, I guess. Hard to argue that Uncle Phil was an S tier TV father figure. Hard for me to think of others I can compare. Oh yeah, Uncle Phil was absolutely goated. Yeah, if we were talking about live action TV fathers, Uncle Phil probably number one. Like you, I don't know if it's hard to think of another one that's better. I mean, there's obviously a lot of decent fathers on TV. There's like Carl Winslow. Danny Tanner. But yeah, Uncle Phil I think was really cool. I don't know like exactly. I don't know. I think maybe it just felt. I'm trying to like verbalize what made Uncle Phil so cool and what like puts him above all the other sort of standard sitcom fathers. I think they just wrote a lot of good stories for him where he was able to show just sort of the complex way that he cared for his family. I agree about that with comeback shows. I agree it's fun to check in, but I don't really need a full show. Yeah, I mean, and like apparently they're trying to do, like, for example, I think they're trying to do a community movie. And it's like I can deal with that. Like it's one movie. They're not gonna make like another like 20 seasons of a or 20 episodes of a season. Even a movie might be a little too much to be honest, but it would be cool to check in on these people. I know the logistics of doing a movie are a little different than doing a TV show, so it's not always possible. But yeah. What kind of other content would you like to get into? Music, movies, or not even media type stuff? In terms of the videos that I make, I mean, I would like to do whatever. This is the problem with YouTube. Well, it's not the problem, but this is just the problem with having a platform where in which you're trying to entertain people. Is if you do stuff that's different, there's a strong chance that the existing audience is not going to be as interested in it. I mean, I wish I could just make videos about whatever I was interested in. But I don't think it works like that. And even similar things like TV shows and movies, like you think those things are similar, but it's two different audiences for sure. But I would like to maybe do movies. I probably would have to pick certain types of movies. Like I did a video about The Princess and the Frog a long time ago that it did pretty well. I think it got 100,000 plus views. And maybe because that's kind of like a nostalgic video or a nostalgic movie from the 2000s, that maybe my audience is interested in that sort of thing. I also did a music related video that did really well. So, that's on the table. I think it's just going to sort of be a thing where I just like, to me, a YouTube channel is a conversation between a creator and their audience. So I want to make stuff that I'm interested in making, but I also want to make stuff that y'all are interested in watching. And if you guys, or just the audience at large, really shows that they're not interested in something, then I'm just not going to make it, even if I really want to. At least not on this channel. And this is something, I don't know if I think I've announced it on stream, but I'm working on a second channel where I do more like random videos about random pieces of media that I don't think fit the scope of this channel. So y'all can check that out. I'm probably gonna announce it soon on one of the videos, but it's the channel's called T1J2, all spelled out, T1JTWO. So I might put stuff there that that I just really want to make, that I'm not sure that this audience will specifically like. And then maybe, all the people that are just interested in that sort of hodgepodge of different stuff can go over there and then start a whole different new community, but we'll see. Of the sitcoms you've covered so far, which one do you think has aged the poorest? Has aged the poorest? I don't know. I mean, one thing that I have found is, at least from my perspective, I feel like most of the shows that I love are still hold up for the most part. But it might just be my perspective because I don't really think about that kind of thing that much. I mean, like maybe there's a lot of stuff in Friends that doesn't age that well, but I honestly don't think it's that bad. Especially if you, I don't know, I think that I try to analyze media through sort of a giving them the benefit of the doubt kind of lens. And so I don't tend to think of things like, oh, this doesn't hold up. I just think, oh, this makes sense for this character in this era of, you know, culture and television. Like, for example, in Friends, Chandler is like very homophobic. That's like a big part of the show. And I think a lot of people would say, okay, that doesn't hold up that well. But to me, that's his character, you know? And I guess if there was a homophobic character today, it would be they would go out of their way to make sure the audience know that's not good to be. And they didn't really necessarily do that with Chandler. It was mostly as a joke. But to me, in the context of the show, Chandler was like a very immature and insecure person, and his dad was, I think his dad is either a drag queen or trans. I think his dad was straight up a trans woman, which he didn't know how to deal with. Um, and so he was very insecure about that, and he expressed that through homophobia. And to me, that makes sense for a character. Like, characters are not supposed to be perfect; they're supposed to have flaws. So to me, I don't think of it as that doesn't hold up. I think of it, oh, that was an interesting character flaw. So I don't know. I'm sure there are shows that do just straight up don't hold up. But the ones that I covered, I feel like I don't know. I never noticed anything like that. There are like scenes here or there that I think just are a little bit icky by today's standards. Like there's a one of the there's an episode in Seinfeld where George basically like drugs his boss by slipping something in his drink, which is like that's a little bit icky to watch now, just given how our understanding of like rape culture and things like that have grown over the years. But I think the point of Seinfeld is like they're all monsters. So uh since it's the season, what's the worst Halloween candy? The worst Halloween candy? Circus peanuts are pretty bad. If someone's giving out circus peanuts on Halloween, they're absolutely trolling. Black licorice is bad. I think we've kind of moved beyond black licorice as a society, but every now and then there's some old person that's still eating black licorice. I will say I am a candy corn supporter. So if anyone was trying to bait me into saying candy corn, I back candy corn. I'm a big fan. Will you be posting tabletop stuff and other nerd adjacent content on your second channel? Possibly. I'm still in the sort of media realm. Um, like tabletop gaming is one of my absolute favorite things to do, but I don't really know what kind of content I would make about it. I don't know that I have a whole lot to say about it that isn't already said. Um, the only thing that I could think that I would make is just videos of me and other people playing games, which I would love to do, but that requires a lot of coordination and stuff. And if I do that, that would probably be on a yet another channel. But yeah, I'm not sure. But if there's something related to nerdy media, I might be interested in doing something like that. Have you watched High Fidelity, Caitlin Olsen's show? I have not. I've seen like trailers for it and stuff, like commercials and stuff, but I haven't seen it. What's your boundary between this creator has values I disagree with, but I could still watch, versus this creator is terrible and I will not engage with their content? Um, I think I don't know. For me, when it comes to stuff like that, I simply ask the question. Well, there's a couple questions. It's like, A, is this good faith? And B, is this kind? Is it mean spirited? Um, I don't engage with bad faith, and I don't engage with mean spirited. That's really it. I don't even really care if I disagree or not. I mean, it's interesting. It feels good when someone says something and you're like, hell yeah, you're saying something that I agree with. But people say stuff I disagree with all the time. Like, you have to become comfortable with hearing things you disagree with. It's just, is it good faith and is it mean spirited? That's really the two criteria. When it comes to and those questions aren't always super easy to answer, but sometimes you have to give it time. Like for example, I had to, like, when J.K. Rowling started saying all that really like transphobic stuff on Twitter and stuff. Obviously, the whole internet jumps on it immediately, but I'm like, is this good faith and is this mean spirited? Like maybe this person like just genuinely cares about. It's like is worried about her identity as a woman or other people's identity as a woman, is just expressing it in a wrong-headed way. But over time, it becomes like very clear that it's both bad faith and mean-spirited. And it's like, okay. But like another example, a similar example to that, there's well, I don't know, never mind. I don't want to say that. But yeah, those are my two criteria. So according to Chandler, his father is a crossdresser, but is played by an actual cisgender woman on the show, which I always interpreted to mean he was transphobic. Chandler's father is played by a woman, a cis woman. Is that right? But yeah, I think him calling, like, I think his father started off as a crossdresser, but then eventually came out as I'm a woman. But Chandler probably still just said crossdresser, which I think just you know can be interpreted as like, oh, Chandler's just being transphobic. And obviously at that point they probably didn't have a lot of interaction with trans people, or even just knowledge of the vocabulary to talk about trans people. There was an old lady who gave out circus peanuts on our street, and we'd always avoid her house whenever we went trick or treating. Yeah, circus peanuts are low tier for sure. Brax pumpkins. I don't even know if I've had that. Oh, those little pumpkin things. Yeah, those are okay. They're similar to candy corn, right? It's really fun, but also has good mystery. Definitely a modern take on Sherlock character, and Caitlin is awesome. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Unlikely as it is, I would love to see a stream with you, FT Signifier, Kamal and Abba playing D&D. That would be pure chaos. Hey, if anyone wants to set that up, I'm down. If I can get someone else to produce and edit the whole thing, I'd be happy to be involved in a D&D channel, but it's just a lot of work. I think public personas need to keep their thoughts inside. I don't think anyone needs to keep their thoughts inside. Just don't be a dick about it, really. I think that, and honestly, social media just brings out the best, or brings out the worst, not the best, brings out the worst of pretty much everyone. So I try to keep that in mind, but it comes to a point where you have to ask yourself, am I being a dick right now? And I think a lot of people don't do that, or they just get to a point where they stop caring about whether or not they're being a dick. And it's being a public figure is a weird situation a lot of the times, because you often have so much validation while also so much hate at the same time. So you can say something completely bizarre, but especially when you're someone as famous as J.K. Rowling, you'll get thousands of messages of support and validation, which can make you feel like I must be right because so many people agree with me. But at the same time, you also get thousands of messages of people hating on you and dragging you, and probably a lot of just legitimate criticism as well. And you can look at that two ways. You can look at that as, oh, maybe I'm a little off here because so many people are mad, which sometimes is not the correct response. Sometimes people are just mad because they're hating and they're just miserable, angry people on the internet. But what also often happens is people get a lot of hate, and people think, well, this hate just gets me riled up and makes me want to double down even more. And again, I don't think anyone is immune to that, and none of us should pretend that we're immune to those sorts of feelings. But at some point, after years and years, you have to think about something. You have to consider the possibility that there are alternatives to this line of thinking. For me, the movie School of Rock was the movie that inspired me to at least try to play music, kind of like how superhero movies inspire kids to want to do big things. Was there a movie that did that for you? Let me think. First of all, School of Rock, absolute S tier movie, one of the greatest movies ever. A movie like that for me. Well, I know that watching animated superhero movies growing up, that really made me want to learn how to draw. I mean, I always kind of drawed when I was a kid, but I really got into like comics and stuff because of watching like the X-Men cartoon and the Spider-Man cartoon, and then later there was like Static Shock and Batman Beyond and stuff like that, and I just really thought that was really cool, and that made me want to learn how to draw. That's not exactly the same as what you're saying, but it's similar. I'm trying to think if there's like something about a character that made me want to do what the character was doing. I mean, not a movie. I mean, the reason that I play D&D, that I got so into D&D, is from watching Dimension 20. Like that Dimension 20 literally made me start playing D&D. I can't think of a movie though. I know there's been stuff in movies that I wanted that I didn't get. Like in the Matrix, they have these cool phones where you like eject the receiver or whatever, like like you eject the magazine from a gun. And I was like, man, I want one of those phones, but I never got one. Candy corn indeed slaps. I'm glad that some people feel me. If I had funding to publicize my first journey into queer discourse as a young Christian and now atheist, I would have said some fucked up stuff. I have little grace for JK though. Yeah, I don't know. When you double down on something for years, it's just like after a while, it's just you're being a little bit of a dick. But the thing is, mean spirit people like mean spirited stuff on all sides of every issue, and that's why people do it because it gets engagement. There are people even there are creators that I agree with almost entirely, but I can't watch their stuff because it's so mean spirited. Who are some small YouTubers, especially in the media/slash video essay space, you've been liking? I don't know. I don't watch a lot of video essays, honestly, which might be weird to say because I make video essays. There's this channel that I've been into, and this is very super specific to a certain type of person. But there's this dude who he has three channels that I know of. Each of them are about retro games, but each is for a different sport. The one that I watch the most is the one about basketball. So he makes videos about like video essays about retro basketball video games. It's the channel is called Basketball in Context. It's a small channel. I think it has like it's under 10,000 subscribers for sure. I've been really into that channel lately. Um, there's a YouTuber called HG Modernism that has I think about 60,000 subscribers, which I don't know if that's considered small, but um she does a lot of different videos about a lot of stuff. But they're pretty good. I don't even know how to classify her video. It's like I don't know, you just have to experience it. But she talks about a lot of different things. Like she talks about tech a little bit, she talks about philosophy a little bit. Um Talks about media every now and then. But yeah, I honestly don't watch a lot of video essays. Most of the stuff that I watch on YouTube is like very specific to my interests and hobbies. High Fidelity, the show is based on an early 90s movie about the death of the analog music industry and record store subculture. Yeah, I remember High Fidelity, the movie with John Cusack and Jack Black, right? He was in that too. Speaking of Jack Black, that perspective of the flood of validation is so true, and I need to remember that. That shit is hard. Absolutely. It's an ongoing problem, ongoing struggle, and obviously it's something that I even deal with. One of the reasons I like these streams is the streams are 99% of the time the streams are always chill, and even when people disagree with me, it's always like a pretty chill. Like I feel like I'm usually treated like a human being in the streams. And that part of that is because they're not super big or anything. But when I venture out into social media, that's when you never know what you're gonna get. When will everything stop breaking and we can start enjoying free time again? Stop breaking? You mean just like the world? With newer shows, sitcoms, do you enjoy an ongoing show thread or something that feels it's going somewhere, like a completion point, whether it's the end of the season or a show entirely? I definitely like enjoy like an ongoing thread and connected storylines and serialized episodes and stuff. I would say I definitely prefer that. And it's interesting. I like that it seems like a lot of shows nowadays are written with kind of a story arc in mind, because that's definitely not what used to happen, especially with sitcoms. But it's much more common now for shows to be written with a certain thing in mind, and I like that because things make more sense. There's less continuity errors. Characters feel more developed when you do it that way. I loved college humor, but lost free time around the time D20 started. Dudes are killing it, I hear. Yeah, Dropout it seems to be doing quite well, and the content is very good. Like they've figured out their audience. Like they really know what they're doing. And Dimension 20, I'm pretty sure is the most popular show on Dropout. And like they've like sold out Madison Square Garden and shit. Like they're absolutely killing it. The Caitlin Ocean show is high potential. Yeah, I thought high fidelity sounded off. I think the MTV show Jackass inspired kids or something, for better or for worse. Oh yeah, I definitely know about the kids who watch Jackass. I wasn't. I never was into Jackass. I don't know. I can't like watch people like harming themselves. It's not that, it just makes me like cringe too much. And I guess that's the point, but when something makes me cringe, I don't want to watch it anymore. What's the most memorable meal you ever had, either because of the food or the experience or the occasion? The most memorable meal. Um, the most memorable meal, I don't know. Um, I remember I went to a casino one time and there's a restaurant in the casino, and it was really expensive, but I ordered shrimp and grits, and it was like one of the best things I ever had. I don't know what they did, but it was delicious. That was memorable. It's not us. The last time I went to the beach, which was a few months ago, we went to this restaurant and we got the tuna salad as an appetizer, and it was the best tuna salad I've ever had. And I've been trying to figure out how to recreate it, because it's like, it's tuna salad, it can't be that hard, but I don't know what they're doing. I guess it's probably because it's on the beach, and so they've got like fresh fish or something. But man, it was good. I'm trying to think of any. One memorable meal that I had was there was a year where just everyone in my family was out of town for Thanksgiving. And so I made a Thanksgiving dinner. Like it's the first and only time I've made a full Thanksgiving dinner by myself. And it was fine. It wasn't like the best thing ever, but it was just memorable because I just made it, and like me and my brother and one or two of my friends ate, and it was pretty cool. So that was memorable. Have you ever listened to Tenacious D or watched the Pick of Destiny movie, Jack Black and Kyle Gass's band? Uh, yeah, I love Tenacious D. The movie was not. The movie was fine. The movie was mainly good for just for the music, but the band, I love the band, and it's not even because of the humor. I just genuinely think the songs are really good. Um, and you know, Jack Black. How can you not like Jack Black? He just seems like a very jolly guy. Seems like he'd be fun to hang out with. The ending is just important, and without an idea of what the ending is going to be, it's hard to make one up on the spot. Um, yeah, I mean, when it comes to sitcoms, a lot of sitcoms made up their ending on the spot, and that's why there are very few sitcoms that have an ending that people loved. Been on an M Night Shyamalan binge. Do you have a favorite? Well, I definitely haven't seen all of them. I will say, I feel like most M Night Shyamalan movies that I have seen are not that good. Let me look at his movies. I liked Unbreakable. That was good. Um, that's the only one on this list that I have seen that I like. um, Split, I think, was kind of cool, but a lot of these I haven't seen. The Sixth Sense is fine. I've seen Signs. I hate it. I've seen The Village. I don't. Not a fan. I never seen Lady in the Water. I've never seen The Happening. Never seen The Last Airbender, but everybody said that it was terrible. After Earth is terrible. Never seen The Visit. Split is pretty good. Glass is I didn't really like Glass that much. It was like, what's going on here? Old is pretty stupid. I've never seen Knock at the Cabin or Trap. I enjoy the corniness. Yeah, listen, I I don't think M Night Shyamalan is trying to make movies that are artistic masterpieces and that are gonna win awards for their writing and screenplays. I think he's just trying to make really interesting movies that people will, spend an afternoon or spend an evening watching, and it works for him. Like I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He just tries to make weird, interesting movies that people that get people's intrigue. Really enjoyed Lady in the Water. Fair. He just released a book with Nicholas Sparks, and it's bad. Really. Roseanne or Family Matters? Definitely Roseanne. Watched Old 4 times. Agree to disagree. I think the premise of Old is really interesting, but just the movie makes no sense. But again, I don't think that's the point. Um, and for a guy who's like known for his twists, I feel like the twist of that movie is not that satisfying. It's like, oh, it's an evil corporation that. It's like, okay, dude. Sorry for spoiling Old, by the way. Minor spoilers. But again, I don't think, like I said, I don't think he's trying to like win an Oscar. He's just trying to make a movie and make some money, which I feel you, which he has been successful at. But there's probably people that absolutely love Shyamalan, like thinks he's a a cinematic genius, and that's cool. Everybody has their thing. I love the Matrix sequels, and a lot of people say that they're terrible. So everybody has their own thing. Except Matrix 4, I didn't like that one. I have a few comfort shows I used to watch again and again, like The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Malcolm in the Middle. You have any comfort shows you go back to from time to time, or mainly for the channel? Absolutely. Boy Meets World, Parks and Recreation. Those are probably my big two comfort shows. I guess The Office. I wouldn't call The Office a comfort show for me because The Office has a lot of episodes that are just intense and like just really make you shudder a little bit because of the awkwardness. And that's, it's good television, but it's not, I wouldn't call it comfort television. But like Parks and Recreation and Boy Meets World, like you can just turn that on at any point and you just feel good. I mean, maybe the last couple seasons of Boy Meets World are a little too intense for comfort viewing, but the first 5 seasons are all really good. Good vibes. I think The Good Place has become one of my comfort shows, which I wouldn't have said before. But yeah, that show's always fun to watch. And I guess Friends, although I haven't really watched Friends, extensively recently, but I could turn on Friends at any time and just be happy. I think it's my version of a popcorn flick. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a popcorn flick. And it's not just, you know, you have to respect that he's like his movies are unique. It's not like his movies are just like bubblegum cookie cutter nonsense. So you have to give him some respect for just the interesting ideas he comes up with, because I would say all of his movies have interesting ideas behind them. I can't take that away from him. It's just like, how are they executed? Does the plot make sense? you know, does are you contradicting something earlier that you said before or that you're saying now? You know, is it something ridiculous like the aliens being killed by water on a planet that's 70% water? You know, it's like that's where I get lost sometimes. M Night is kind of the Kevin Smith of fantasy sci-fi. That's actually a very good comparison. Nothing's going to be groundbreaking, but dialogue will be phenomenal. I think that's a very good comparison because Kevin Smith is also a person who knows his audience. And I think even he himself will tell you that his movies are not like super good or anything. They're just, he just was having fun with his friends, basically. Kind of funny how Stefan Arkell episode of Family Matters kind of became an iconic episode, especially recently. Family Matters, man, that show is crazy, and it's kind of wild. Like in retrospect, that was a crazy show. Like what was going on that show? Like it ultimately became a science fiction sitcom, which is really interesting. I love Family Matters. A lot of people say that Family Matters got bad, but it got sillier and sillier as it went on. But I don't think it was ever bad. I think it was still funny. Like Steve Urkel is one of the all-time funniest sitcom characters of all time. The Good Place is goaded. Sounds stupid, but I think more highly of you for enjoying that show. It's pretty heavy when you think about what the message they're sending us, and I assume you did. Think about The Good Place. It took me a while to really. I think The Good Place is one of those shows that gets better the more you watch it. Because the first time I watched The Good Place, I was like, "This is a cool story. I respect the story," but I was like, I don't know if it's that funny, and like they clearly are trying to establish some lore, but the lore is not super consistent. But the more you watch it, you realize the point of the show is the message that they're trying to send. Like they're telling a story, which is good. Like you want a story, you want a coherent story, but it's really about the message and the ideas that they're trying to share. Like I feel it's rare for a comedy television show to really be trying to actually say a thing, like a specific thing, and The Good Place really has some things to say, which I think is really cool. And you just like you notice new things every time you watch it, which is true of anything, but that show in particular, I think, really gets more. It gets better every time you watch it. And also, The Good Place has maybe the greatest finale of a sitcom ever. I can't think of one that I like better. What's up, Mr. Morgan Farts? I'm not plugging, but I'm doing audiobooks. I don't have many listeners, but I do it because I enjoy creating. So I get what you mean with Shyamalan. He's just creating what he likes, and I respect that. Yeah, I mean, even with me, like these days, I just make kind of silly videos about sitcoms, like silly headcanon videos about sitcoms. I fully understand. I'm not changing the game on this channel, you know. And I had to sort of think about that. Is that what I want to do? And that's what I want to do right now. Um, I think every now and then I have a video that comes out really well and I think is very creative. Like I think my video about alternate timelines came out really well, and I think that was a really creative video, and I would like to do more stuff like that. But that requires me to have that really good idea. But most of the time I'm just like, hey, here's some weird stuff about a TV show. It's not, I'm not gonna win a Peabody, but it's fun to do, and people seem to like it. So yeah, I and it's not for everybody, and that's fine too. You ever watch Happy Endings? That's a show that I've seen a few episodes of it, but I really liked it. What I've seen, that's a show that's on my list that I want to. That's a show I would like to watch all of at some point. I have so many shows that I would like to watch. The problem with older shows is that they're too long. There's so many episodes. It's so daunting. Fresh Prince got a little over the top toward the later half of the series. I remember as a little kid watching Will getting tossed around the gym thinking, I don't think he could pop a person that way. That scene was funny though. I'm laughing thinking about it because I know exactly what scene you're talking about. But I think it was always a funny gag when sitcoms would have a dummy that is getting thrown around. I think that just added to the comedy. But yeah, I think that did probably get a little sillier as the show went on. I think honestly, Fresh Prince, this might be a hot take, but I think Fresh Prince is like, it's okay. Like it has a lot of really, really good episodes, and it has, the greatest sitcom dad ever. But if you compare like the full length of the show, I feel like a lot of it is just mostly okay, and it's like an okay show with a few great episodes. That's kind of how I think about the Fresh Prince. It has great characters. All the characters are good, but there's a handful of memorable episodes, but I feel like most of the episodes are not that memorable. There's my hot take for the day, I guess. But that kind of goes to show you how good the characters were. That's one of the shows that people still talk about. It's interesting what shows people continue to talk about, because there are a lot of shows. As a person who grew up watching sitcoms in the 90s and 2000s, there were so many sitcoms. Some of them people just don't talk about anymore, even if they were popular back in the day. Like Spin City. That was a really popular show. No one talks about Spin City anymore. you know? What's another one? Like Just Shoot Me. That was a pretty popular show. No one talks about it anymore. But there are shows that people continue to talk about, like Fresh Prince, Family Matters. I mean, some shows like Family Matters, Friends, Seinfeld were just on another level of popularity that it makes sense that people still talk about them. But I don't know. It's interesting what shows stay in the cultural zeitgeist or whatever you want to say. Were you talking about the show or the movie? There's a Happy Endings movie. I don't even think I know what that is. I was assuming you're talking about the show since we were talking about sitcoms. Yeah, with Damon Wayans Jr. Love that timeline vid. I appreciate that a lot. I got a lot of positive feedback on that. I think I think people like those creative ideas. Um, so when I have them, I'll make them. But it's a little bit sad because when you make those really creative videos, people might come to expect every video to be like that, and it's like I don't know if I can come up with a banger of an idea like that every time, but we'll see. I will try my best. This movie's also pretty good. Yeah, I don't even know the movie. I don't think. Is that Lisa Kudrow? Yeah, I've never heard of this movie. Not gonna lie, television shows got a little too serious for me in the 2010s, and I understand why people wanted shows like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones. See, I didn't watch any of those shows. The 2010s was an absolute banger year for comedy shows, though. You were watching the wrong shows. You got to watch the comedy shows. 2010s, we had like Modern Family, Parks and Rec, um, Insecure. I think honestly think the 2010s is the best decade for sitcoms of all time. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place. Speaking of BoJack Horseman, Veep, Superstore, Schitt's Creek. So many bangers. I yeah, I only watched sitcoms. So most of these like drama shows I have never seen. I've never seen Breaking Bad. I've never seen Game of Thrones. Um I'm sure I would like them if I watched them. In fact, I'm kind of interested in watching Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Will I do that? We'll see. Cuz these days if I'm watching a show, it's usually because I'm going to do a video about it. I don't watch a lot of TV for leisure anymore. I just watch YouTube. But yeah, if I've been watching a show over the past like few decades, it's almost always a comedy. It's either a comedy or superhero related. That's like all I watch. Cougar Town. I've seen a couple episodes of Cougar Town. I just saw you made a video about The Good Place. I'm watching that tonight. I actually don't even know how I found you, but after stream, I'm going to marathon your channel. Cool. I hope you enjoy it. Um, I think the last year or two of content is pretty good. After that, your mileage may vary. I don't know, the that's just when you get into the political era, which is different. But my video about The Good Place also has a pretty creative premise. I had a lot of fun making it. It's also a hot take that a lot of people don't necessarily agree with, which is interesting. Any updates on the spoiler question? Updates? I mean, there's a lot of different um opinions about spoilers. I don't know. I feel like I got a wide variety of responses. Um, Yeah, I don't know. My I don't know. My view on spoilers is if something is very popular and has been out for many years, then you're kind of on your own when it comes to spoilers. Like if I want you to watch something, um like if I want you to watch something, obviously I'm not going to spoil it for you. But if I'm, if I'm on the if I'm streaming and I say Rosebud is the sled, you're on your own on that one, man. That's just something that's just been out for a long time. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different opinions. Some people say you should always give a spoiler warning no matter what, no matter what. Some people sort of agree with me. Some people say like just don't spoil stuff ever. Do you ever rewatch classic YouTube videos? Every few years, I watch Bill Nye versus Kent Ham. That's an interesting one. That video just kind of makes me mad. But I definitely there are videos that I definitely rewatch. I don't know what you consider classic YouTube videos, but there are videos that I like that I watch a lot. Like there's a video. Many of you may have seen this video. There's a video by the YouTuber Leo Vader called "Are the Magicians and Now You See Me Wizards or What?" I think is what it's called. I think it's one of the best videos on YouTube. It's got like 7 million views. I've watched it like 5 times. It's hilarious. I probably watched it more than 5 times actually. I also watch Angry Video Game Nerd episodes all the time, so I rewatch those all the time. That's like my YouTube comfort show is Angry Video Game Nerd. I watch Caleb City's comedy sketches all the time, over and over again. I think he's a comedic genius. I've been checking out lesser known 90s sitcoms recently. One's called The Trouble with Normal, in pretty good quality on YouTube. I don't think I've heard of that one, which is interesting because I feel like I watched at least one episode of like every 90s sitcom. Did it get canceled quickly? Yeah, it looks like it only had one season. Yeah, if it got canceled quickly, I may have missed it. Oh, it's got Paget Brewster. I used to have a big crush on Paget Brewster when she was on Friends. I wanted her and Chandler to 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 end up together. Whenever I hear that Babyface song, I think of that scene with Stefan and Laura dancing in the living room. Oh yeah, it's crazy that the Stefan thing worked, but it worked. Everybody was like, "Sure, sure." He made a clone of himself. I'm on board. When I was young, I really cared about not being spoiled. As an older man, I'd prefer to be spoiled, so I know if I'm wasting my time or not. I mean, I definitely don't want to be spoiled. But the thing is, I only care about certain things. If I care about it, then I don't want to be spoiled. Like, I'm a big Marvel fan. I will be very upset if you spoil Marvel movies for me because I like the movies and they often have surprises. In fact, I've talked about this before. I don't even watch trailers for Marvel movies anymore. Like, literally, when they come on, I literally close my eyes and ears because the trailers always spoil something. And I highly recommend anyone who watches Marvel movies to do this because the experience of going in completely clean and blind is so much better. Um, but outside of that, it's like I generally don't care that much. Like if there like I love sitcoms. If there's something in the sitcom that's a spoiler, I mean usually it doesn't really matter for sitcoms, but in some cases it does. Like a good example is The Good Place. You don't want The Good Place to be spoiled for you. Unfortunately, the main twist of the first season of The Good Place was spoiled for me, so that was a little bit disappointing. It would have been so much better if I didn't know the twist before I watched it, but I still like the show. James Avery was also the voice of Shredder in the 1980s TMNT. That is true. I did know that. Absolute GOAT. No, I was going to watch that. I'm sorry for spoiling this 70-year-old movie for you. What's your first Sona? I don't know. How do you determine what your first Sona is? I've never thought about it. I love The Good Place upon first watch. What I did not like was them putting Chidi and Eleanor together. They did not have romantic chemistry to me. I think so. That's something that also grew on me the more that I watched it. And in fact, I now think the Chidi Eleanor story is one of the best sitcom love stories that I can think of. And I think that's kind of the point, is that they don't go together at first and they learn to love each other over the course of the show, which I think is a really cool story. Like you don't really get, like usually in TV shows, it's like male lead, female lead, they hook up, they're together. You don't really see the development of their relationship. But with them, you literally see how they affect each other and how they grow to love each other, and how they like rub off on each other, like how their personalities change based on their interactions together. I think it's actually quite good, but that's just how I feel about it after, watching the show a bunch of times. Or like referencing what's in the box. Is that even a spoiler if it's not telling the scene? I think that's okay as long as you don't say what's in the box. As long as you don't describe the scene. But it depends though. Red Letter Media Star Wars reviews a classic. Oh yeah. I've watched that a couple times. 2010 is the best decade for sitcoms of all time. I genuinely think that. In terms of the number of really, really good sitcoms that were coming out all at the same time, 2010s was the best for sure. I still love to watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? I do too. I feel like most people probably love to watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? Great show. Usually trailers show the best parts of the movie. Yeah. Which I guess is the point, because that's what gets people excited, but also you're spoiling the best parts of the movie. I would like to see them in context. Like, can you imagine watching Captain America Civil War and not knowing that Spider-Man is in the movie, and then watching the movie and seeing Spider-Man and being like, oh shit, that's Spider-Man. I didn't know Spider-Man was going to be in this movie. This is amazing. But if you watch the trailers for Captain America Civil War, that's like that's like the highlight of the trailer, is that Spider-Man's in the movie. Got a nap for work. All right, YouTube. Thanks for stopping by. I'm actually probably gonna only stream for about 10 more minutes. I usually just stream for a couple hours, and I feel like the time kind of flew by. I've been yapping, but I gotta eat dinner in a little while, and I have to prep for my D&D game on Sunday. The Jason character arc in The Good Place is so good. If anyone in chat likes to see a character's entire arc, The Good Place does such a good job of that for everyone. Yeah, I love sitcom arcs, as anyone who watches my channel knows. That might be an interesting one to cover, or even anyone's arc. All of the arcs on that show are great. Tahani, Eleanor, they all have really solid arcs, and that's I mean that show is just genius. The more that I think about it, because it's about like these four people who kind of suck, and you actually like see how they like learn how to not suck. And it's not like contrived, like it makes sense. Are you big on animation? I've been rewatching The Oblongs recently, right after I finished King of the Hill. I have no problem with animation. The Oblongs was good. I remember The Oblongs. King of the Hill is one of the greatest shows of all time, by the way. I will say there's probably no animated show that I really sat and watched all of like I do with many sitcoms. Um, but now with if I want to do a video about them, I might. Like I recently watched Daria from beginning to end for the first time. I remember watching a few episodes of Daria, back in the day, but uh some people suggested that I do a video about Daria, so I decided to watch it, and it's amazing. It's like one of my favorite shows now. So I'm definitely interested in watching animated shows. Movie trailers are test marketed and edited to what people respond to before they're released to the public. I'm sure. I think the thing with me is I don't really use trailers to figure out what movies I want to watch. I think if you're a person who does that, then um, that works. But I usually kind of are. I usually, first of all, I'm like open to anything. I don't really, as long as it tells a good story, I'm open to it. Um, but I don't even watch movies that much. Usually, I know what movies I'm gonna watch. It's like I'm gonna watch the Marvel movie, and that's it. But I'm interested in a lot of stuff. If it sounds interesting, I'll give it a shot. I don't need the trailer to really make that call. Just discovered you. I'm in Birmingham. How can we link up? Um, I don't know. You can hit my Instagram, I guess, or email me. But I really don't leave my house that much, so we'll have to see. I also love how The Good Place makes you care about the Jason and Janet relationship, even though it's completely bizarre. But you're still like, you're still like super invested in this relationship by this. crazy relationship. I love that canonically Hank would beat John Redcorn in the fight. King of the Hill is a show that I really do want to rewatch from beginning to end, but there is a lot of episodes. I'm trying to basically add a part of my routine where I just watch a couple episodes of a show like every day. Cuz like the sort of grandness of the task kind of discourages me from even starting a lot of the time, cuz it's like, man, I really don't know if I'm going to sit here and watch 200 episodes of a show. But, you know, if you just watch a little bit at a time, you'll finish it eventually. I wasn't watching it like a job, so it took me like 2 months to work through. Yeah, and 2 months is fine. Like if the thing is, I just have to start. I don't even start sometimes because it's like, man. But I like to watch shows in full. I suppose that I could make decent videos without watching the full show. But I think that's what kind of makes my videos stand out. Is like I will find the scene, you know. I will find the evidence of the point that I'm trying to make, and I will show you the actual scene and the dialogue because I watched every episode, you know. Um I don't know if there's that many people that are doing that kind of research on TV shows like that. Maybe there are and I just don't know. Um but when I do see that level of research, I respect it, and so I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. If you do rewatch King of the Hill, try to do the director's cuts. They talk about the lore they wrote that never made it into the show. Interesting. Yeah, I might do that. I'm a little bit hesitant when it comes to stuff like that because it just depends on what kind of video I'm doing. Like when I do like character arcs and stuff like that, I want to make sure that everything I'm talking about is canon. Like for example, I did a video about The Office, and there's a lot of deleted scenes in The Office, but I don't really feel like I should reference the deleted scenes because, in my opinion, deleted scenes are not canon. So I can't use that as evidence for the points that I'm making. But you know, if you're doing a video just about the overall lore of the show and things like that behind the scenes, then you can add stuff like that. Set playback speed of your show at 2x and finish in half the time. Oh, trust me, I do. It still takes a very long time. But yeah, I definitely watch. 2x is kind of a little fast. It depends on the show, but yeah, I watched it at least 1.5 to 1.8 times speed. I think YouTube rewards posting daily, so most people do as little research as possible so they can post as fast as possible. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not necessarily YouTube rewards posting daily, but it's just if you post more, you get more views, and if you post more, your audience will remember that you exist. You know, that's kind of that's kind of the issue where I'm at on this channel is I post somewhat infrequently. I mean, I try to post at least once a month, but I really am trying to think of ways that I can post more frequently. A, just, just so people don't forget about me. But also, it will be good financially as well. But I also refuse to put garbage on the channel. And I can't make a video. Like if I'm doing a video about a show, I just will feel really stupid if I put out just an unresearched video. Yeah, I don't do it. That's why, it's not good to compare yourself to other people, but I envy people like ContraPoints and H Bomber Guy, who they drop like one video a year and it's always an absolute banger and they get millions of views and they just chill. It's like, man, that must be nice. Unfortunately, I don't have it like that just yet. But I don't, I would like to, I like posting frequently, I like having a lot of content. I like making stuff. Have you watched him or the new Leo DiCaprio movie? I have not. I heard that him didn't get very good reviews from critics or audiences. I was interested in him, but I didn't see it. I was thinking it was going to have a Jordan Peele kind of vibe because he was involved. I know he didn't direct it, but I was like, maybe since he was involved, it will have that sort of vibe. And I like all of Jordan Peele's movies. But yeah, when it comes to like watching these long shows, I think basically what I have to do, and for me, I think this might just be like an ADHD thing or something, but I have to like organize my life in a certain way so that I can be productive. And it's funny talking about watching TV as being productive, but I think I just have to add it to my daily routine. Is like watch X number of episodes of a show instead of like trying to say, well, I'm going to sit down and watch King of the Hill today. I think I just need to literally put it on my to-do list is watch some of the show. Yeah, lots of negative review. Yeah, which is unfortunate, but that's how it goes sometimes. Making a movie is hard, and I try not to roast people when they don't come out good because I couldn't make a movie. And I'm also a big fan of Marlon Wayans, so I was looking forward to that as well. What's up, Particle Prime? Do I game at all? Opinions on Halo on PlayStation. I don't do a lot of gaming. Um, if I do game, it's usually a fighting game or something like Overwatch. Although I have been playing Disco Elysium on stream. Y'all can come check that out on Thursdays if you want. Halo on PlayStation, is that a thing though? I never heard about that. That sounds wrong. And I'm saying it doesn't sound like you're wrong, but it just sounds like it shouldn't be a thing. Interesting, just announced. I mean, I guess something like that was bound to happen, but yeah, that was like it feels dirty. Halo on PlayStation. Yeah, Marlon haven't been on a lot of stuff lately. Love him too. Yeah, Marlon's cool. I never like growing up as a fan of the Wayans. I never thought that I would end up being such a big fan of Marlon. He's definitely my favorite of the Wayans family nowadays. But I do think that I'm probably going to go ahead and end the stream. It's been a few hours, or a couple of hours at least, and I'm getting hungry, and I got a few things to do before bed. So thanks again for coming to hang out with me. I stream every Friday around 6 p.m. Central Time. And I try to stream every Thursday, but every Thursday is the gaming stream. I'm currently playing Disco Elysium. A lot of people ask me to play that, and so I'm playing it. It's very weird, but I think people enjoy watching it, so you can do that. So Thursdays and Fridays, you can catch me on the stream. The best way to make sure you don't miss a stream is to make sure that you have all notifications enabled on my channel. And that'll also make sure you never miss a video. I do have a new video coming out, a new sitcom video. Maybe tomorrow, if not tomorrow, in a couple days, so look out for that. But yeah, I think that's about it. Remember to be kind to each other. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I just think we all need to be a little kinder to each other. So keep that in mind. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.